we're looking at what can we do with the Montreal Canadiens, and maybe a solution will be to acquire the defenseman who's really popular, David Jiricek. For the information was delivered by Chris Johnston. He reported that the Montreal Canadiens were maybe among the potential teams that were in the derby to acquire him. We know that, he has experienced a stormy relationship with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and now it feels like they're getting closer and closer to get a conclusion in this. And so if we're looking at the names of the teams that are interested in acquire him, Minnesota, Nashville, Pittsburgh, Vancouver, Philadelphia, and of course, Montreal. Do you feel that Montreal could be able to nab this high potential defenseman, which is, a right side defenseman, which we are dreaming of in Montreal?
Right shot D, big bodied. He's 6'4"? Yeah, he's 6'4", and he's only a 2022 draftee. So that's Uri Slavkovsky draft here. There's still a lot of time to turn around. He has proven in the AHL that he is a very good player, almost already too good for the AHL. In 2022-2023, as a European who could play in the AHL at that moment, he had 38 points in 55 games. He can't establish himself in the NHL. Of course, there was a change in front office in Columbus. Sometimes changes in the front office leads to this type of situation. And it's like this in every work line, right? Like a new boss comes in and he wants his people. He wants to the people he can trust. It's okay.
Yeah.
With that being said, guys,
with the, some unenviable situations, maybe being cut from the roster for
maybe he's just not your type, whatever.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm curious to hear you guys on this, because am I the only one, from a Montreal Canadian only perspective, not any other team interested, but from a Montreal Canadian perspective, you went at it with that type of trade with Kirby Dach. You went at it with that type of trade with Alex Newhook. So far, I'm insisting on these two words, so far. We're talking young players that can still turn things around, but so far, not with concluding results. Alex Newhook, to me, is clearly a very good third-line player. I don't see him being that much more than that. I still believe in Kirby Dach, but you've paid big prices to accelerate the rebuild for players that have turned out not to be accelerators of rebuild. Are you making the same mistake if you're going after David Jiricek?
Here's my thought on it. So, according to Chris Johnson's information, the Columbus Blue Jackets are, they're considering a pick and a prospect package. The pick would be high. I feel first round pick or something around it, and a prospect. And I'm like, interesting. Is Joshua Roy maybe a prospect that we are willing to give up?
Yeah, we've heard the name. I'm not sure I like the idea of it.
Why?
I don't know. I really like Joshua Roy. I really like him. I'm not going to hide that whatever your beliefs are on this, local, potential, very good player in Montreal is something that I personally really like to have around. Now, of course, this is not the only thing that you have to keep in mind. I'm not dumb. If Connor McDavid is available, you put everything on the line for him, including your mom and your dad. It's okay. You put everything on the line. We're not talking about Connor McDavid here.
Sorry,
no.
Mom. Sorry,
and
Dad.
And maybe it's a big price to pay for a guy that hasn't proved that he can, be a regular in the NHL.
Exactly.
Well, that brings me to one thing I want to add with this conversation. If they're willing to trade somebody from 2022-23 season, the draft, maybe they know something we don't. And they talk about Dak, they talk about Newhook. Teams that are willing to trade these type of prospects, it's because they have projected also things in the future that we don't know. And that comes to body type, that comes to their growth curve physically and also on the game, their hockey IQ, and their advanced way of what I call filling graphs, where there are a ton of questions they ask the prospects, right? They know basically what color they like, what they like to eat, how they train. And it's that, the way they train, they extrapolate over years. If we surround him better, is he gonna? So when they extrapolate and they say that the answer is no, they want to trade them while they still have value, and that hasn't happened. And when you have those type of players that are being traded, usually it tells me that they don't think he's actually worth what they paid for or where they draft him, and trying to really get the most as they can right now.
Monetize it.
Yeah, monetize it was the word I was looking for, yeah.
Yeah, and he's an offensive defenseman. He's a guy with a big shot who can do a lot of. I mean, like I said, he came up and put a lot of point on the board in the AHL right from the gate. But despite being a big defenseman, he's not a defensive defenseman. Basically, you're going to get maybe a better version of Logan Mailloux. Do you need that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, if we're hoping that Logan Mailloux is going to make the team next year, you need to have maybe more defensive defensemen. What are you willing to give up, Max, to get him?
Not a lot. That's the thing. Not a lot.
Yeah.
I have cold feet. I'm not gonna lie. I have cold feet, and I was born in the North. I have cold feet.
Yeah, and the problem now is that Kirby Dack doesn't have a good value on the market as of right now. You know, New Hook doesn't have a good. So we don't have, you know, like good money, like good value of exchange player right now without willing to be giving up on a Joshua Roy. This is the reality as of right now.
Here's the thing I have learned from Kent Hughes in his short time as a GM. He is a mathematical and a kind of, I would like to say, business-oriented GM. What I mean by this is I think he sees his players as assets. I think he sees his players as assets like a man will see, like a man or a woman, someone who works in stock market sees stocks. He likes to buy low. He likes to sell high. I don't think this is the case here.
I feel like, as Kev said, maybe they're trying to monetize him and pass, you know, like do a little sneaky pass here, and we'll need to look carefully into this. But Minnesota, as the information of Chris Johnston, is the front runner in that derby.